Is it there? Yes. A very good morning and Jai Jagat, dear friends. It's a beautiful Sunday morning and we are here to deliberate upon certain global issues. As you all know, this is the 16th International Conference of the Chief Justices of the world. And this is the second parallel session. On this day, we are going to talk about the global issues which confront us today. On the dais, you find Honorable Mr. Justice Mumba Malila, Judge, Supreme Court, Zambia, who is the chairperson. Welcome, sir. We have Honorable Mr. Justice Vintimila Pablo Parra, Judge, Provincial Court of Justice, Ecuador. Honorable Mr. Justice Deepthi Amratunge, Judge, High Court, Fiji Islands. Honorable Mr. Justice Yahya Fadul Muhammad Fadul, Judge, Supreme Court and Dean of Judicial Institute, Sudan. And Honorable Mr. Justice P.S. Gopinathan, former Judge, High Court of Kerala, India. What are the global issues? This is a very pertinent question. And the moment we start talking about the global issues, I'm sure the first thing which comes to our mind is terrorism. Terrorism in all its form. Now, what are the various forms of terrorism? You have the international terrorism. Everybody remembers the attack on US on the 11th of September 2001. We have the religious terrorism, wherein you have certain communities fighting against each other for the sake of religion. Then you have the state-sponsored terrorism, wherein the state funds certain people so as to create that type of a terror. So what our people have to tell you today, our judges, our eminent speakers, they will deliberate upon these and let you know how to deal with these types, because the topic today says tackling global issues. Then we have another very important global issue, and that's the ethnic and the civil wars. Besides this, nuclear proliferation, that is the total elimination of nuclear weapons, which I really don't know how easy it is to manage, but then it is a cause of concern. And finally, the conflict resolution. How the conflicts can be resolved. By amicable means, by peaceful means, by dialogue, by arbitration. All these will be discussed by the eminent people sitting here. And to chair this session, as I told you, we have Honorable Mr. Justice Mumba Malia, Judge, Supreme Court, Zambia. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Coordinator. So as she has indicated, we have 4 eminent individuals who are all judges to talk to the different topics for discussion in this particular session. We are going to proceed by allowing each of the speakers some 10 minutes, and after all the speakers have given their perspective, then you may, in the last 30 minutes or so, have the opportunity to pose questions directed at any one of the speakers relating to the subject that they have covered. So without wasting any further time, I will call upon the Honorable Mr. Justice Vintila Pablo Parra, Judge, Provincial Court of Justice in Ecuador, to share his views. Judge, over to you.
Thank you. First, I want to be glad to be here, a nice country. I come in from Ecuador, South America. I am judge lawyer. My work done is topic armament on nuclear proliferation of global and this problem in application today. I want to somebody help me to translate my work in accept if you want any question before. Okay, it's beginning.
The problem of the proliferation of nuclear weapon has been on the agenda of international efforts. Arms control since the beginning of the nuclear era, and today there are broad awareness that a further spread of nuclear weapons would increase the risk to global security. Indeed, due to the transfer of nuclear weapon knowledge and the real seemingly peaceful purposes to different parts of the world, more and more nations are acquiring the means necessary for nuclear weapons, the programs, and technical teams. Hence, the importance of the Treaty of the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapon (NPT), signed in 1968 in order to stop this dangerous process, which entered into force in 1970. The NPT has become a basic part of a broader non-proliferation regime converging several strict rules and institutions specializing control both nationally and internationally. The NPT is a unique international document from the standpoint that prohibits the possession of the most dangerous weapon invented until today. However, the NPT is not an end in itself. The party declared aim is to pave the way of nuclear disarmament. In 1995, we will have to decide in accordance with Article X of the treaty, the NPT should remain in force indefinitely or be extended by a period additional. NPT membership, despite the asymmetry between the rights and the obligations established for countries with nuclear weapons and the countries without nuclear weapons, the NPT has attracted a record number of signatory states, 141 at 1st of January 1990. This number includes 3 power possessing nuclear weapons country: United Kingdom, United States, and Soviet Union. France, a powerful country with nuclear weapon, have not signed the NPT, is declared to act as a state party to treaty policy. China, 5th power with the nuclear weapon, is not a part of the treaty but has solemnly declared that it will not help other states to acquire nuclear weapons. In light of these commitments, there seems no material reason for France and China is to firmly accede to the NPT. It is not registered no material violation of the treaty nor withdrawal of any party. Some signatory states have not concluded nuclear safeguard agreement by the deadline set by the NPT, but virtually none of them make significant nuclear activities. There are 5 state parties in the NPT: Libya, North Korea, Iran, Iraq, and Taiwan, which made treaty commitment have been challenged despite its nuclear activity, are subject to safeguards. However, Libya, which reportedly tried to buy nuclear weapon from North Korea and secretly building nuclear preprocessing facilities, power fuels used near research reactor producing plutonium. In Iran, the construction of nuclear power reactors stopped long ago, and an Iraqi air raid violated damage to the plant construction. Iraqi's nuclear agreement has also been severely affected by the war with Iran. In 1981, the French research reactor building was destroyed by Israel. Consequently, if Iran and Iraq have hidden project of nuclear weapon, both the countries are far from able to manufacture nuclear weapons. The allegation by Israel that Iraq is undergoing the manufacturing program of nuclear warhead have not been tested. The treaty NPT well developed, but the US has persuaded not to give up. The nuclear activities of dubious intentions. A considerably serious problem has been raised with nuclear weapons, which we often consider. As in the nuclear wafer member countries that perform significant nuclear activity but have not acceded to the NPT and have accepted international monitoring of its domestic production of the equipment and non-nuclear material. All of them are operated safeguard exempt plant capable of producing material capacity, military plutonium and highly enriched uranium, and have been provided with vehicles carrying nuclear weapons. Some of them claim that the right to conduct nuclear explosion for peaceful purposes using similar explosive device used in nuclear weapons. These opponents NPT countries are India, Pakistan, Argentina, Brazil, Israel and South Africa. India and Pakistan are those one the country with nuclear have not made any nuclear explosion so far. Although supposedly peaceful, it is believed that the device of 12 kiloton exploded in 1974 in the desert of Rajasthan.
Because LTT was proscribed by European Union, and they challenged that in European courts. And the proscription in European Union was based on the proscription in India as well as in UK. So on that basis, they proscribed LTT. So they went to court and they were successful initially, but that case is still pending because the European Union appealed. So in short, what the court held was that the process used in India was not according to their standards to proscribe an organization, because when it is proscribed, their funds are frozen, so there are a lot of criminal penal provisions. So this case is still pending. If somebody wants, you can go to their website, the website of the European Court, and then this is found as the case Council versus LTT. Now still it is pending, that is the appeal by the Council, and the earlier decision, if you want, it was actually delivered 1 year ago, 16th October 2014, that is LTT versus Council, where they were successful. So thank you very much, and I'll hand over to
Thank you very much, Justice Amaratunga. At least we learned that the saying one man's meat is another man's poison is not only confined to food, it also extends equally to terrorism. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So that's a very useful lesson that we learned from the presentation. I will now give the floor to Honorable Justice Yahya Fadu Muhammad Fadu. Is a judge of the Supreme Court of Sudan and also the Dean of the Judicial Institute of that country. Justice Fadu, I'll give you the floor now.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum means peace for all. This is our greeting in Arabic. I am very happy to be here in this school and Chinese students. My language is not good English language. I speak Arabic and I will try to explain myself. Yesterday they told me I am speak today, and for this I will try to speak and my colleague to translate my speaker. Mamun?
Yes, please. I'm so tall, so I put it here because I don't want you to get frightened. Okay?
أولا نتفق مع المتحدثين إنه ما زال تعريف الإرهاب في العالم مجهول.
I do agree with the speakers on high table that, till now, the definition of terrorism is inconsistent.
المتفقين عليه إنه الإرهاب جسم غريب ونرفض جميعا في العالم هذا الإرهاب.
What we do agree that terrorism is an strange eminent to our body. We dislike it and we are not accepted in any form of it.
كل العالم أصبح يعاني من هذا الإرهاب.
All the worldwide they are suffering from the term called terrorism.
الدول القوية والدول الضعيفة.
But all countries, whether it's superior or inferior development or developed country, all of them they suffer from the same instinct.
ونحن في السودان تمكنا من سن قوانين وتشريعات لمحاربة الإرهاب.
We are in Sudan, we enact laws and rules to fight this new phenomena which are the names terrorism.
ونتمنى إنه الناس يعرفوا الإرهاب.
I wish all jurists they could reach to define what terrorism is.
حتى نتمكن من محاربته في كل الدول.
So that we can eradicate it all over the worldwide.
مصطلح الإرهاب يعني ظهر بصورة واضحة وفي الإعلام بعد أحداث سبتمبر 2001.
The term terrorism it become very well known after September 11.
الأحداث في سبتمبر أو غير سبتمبر أنا كسوداني وكمسلم بالنسبة لي مرفوض لأنه قتل لأبرياء لأطفال لنساء ما كان لهم دور في.
Wherever take place in 11 September, like me, I'm a Muslim, is not acceptable. That to kill innocent people without anything, that is a sin.
وقتل أي مسلم أو غير مسلم في العالم طفل أو رجل أو امرأة مرفوض.
If you kill anybody, that a boy or a girl, a woman or man, without reason is unacceptable worldwide.
لكن السؤال ما سألوا أي من الأشخاص ما هو سبب الإرهاب؟
The eminent question that nobody had asked: what is a terrorism? What is type?
السبب.
The reason for terrorism to act as a terrorist.
ليه الإرهاب انتشر أخيرا؟ السبب شنو؟
Why it prevailed lastly? What is the reason?
ومن هو السبب؟
And
من هو؟
what are the causes? And who are they?
هل هم أشخاص؟ هم دول؟ هل
Are
هم
they
متطرفين؟
persons or countries or nations?
من هو اللي عنده مصلحة في الإرهاب في العالم؟
Who has a benefit regarding the act of terrorism?
منو اللي بيصنع الأسلحة اللي بيستعمل في الإرهاب؟
Who manufacture all these weapons which you use for terrorism act?
ومين المستفيد من هذا؟
Who benefited from this act?
دي آلاف الأشخاص ماتوا في العالم.
Thousands of people that died
في 11 سبتمبر.
in 11 September.
في هيروشيما. ناجازاكي.
فيتنام. Iraq.
السبب من هو السبب؟ This is a question we must ask. نحن لو دايرين نعالج الإرهاب لازم نشوف أسباب الإرهاب.
If we need to rectify the term terrorism, we had to look for the causes of make you a terror and it tend to be a terrorism concept.
أنا أؤمن إنه مقتل الأبرياء في 11 سبتمبر إرهاب.
I do believe that killing of innocent people in September 11 is a terrorism.
هل قتل الأبرياء في هيروشيما وناجازاكي والعراق إرهاب؟ This is a question.
Killing people in Hiroshima, Nagasaki and Iraq, is it a terrorism act?
Yes, I put my mine as a lecture. We in our country we believe we must لازم نحارب الإرهاب بأي طريقة بالقوانين بالتوعية بالدين.
In Sudan, we try to initiate that we had to fight terrorism by all means, religion, by setting awareness session, by all means.
ونتمنى إنه العالم ما يستغل محاربة الإرهاب لأسباب سياسية.
I wish that the worldwide should not use fighting terrorism to another creed or another reasons that let them interfere in their own.
The time over. This is a question we all together to answer this question.
These are the question all together we need to answer it.
ما في دولة أو شخص يقدر يحارب الإرهاب لوحده لأنه الإرهاب بقى مشكلة عالمية ونحن لو ما توحدنا في العالم وعرفنا الإرهاب ووجدنا أسباب الإرهاب لا يمكن محاربة الإرهاب.
Nobody in the world could fight terrorism alone. It has become a global phenomena. So what we need is that we need to redefine it and identify it. We join effort together to fight such a phenomena named as terrorism. And time over.
المتهم دائما هم المسلمين بالإرهاب.
The accused usually are the Muslims who they consider them as terrorists.
But ما يعرف الناس إن الدين الإسلامي يقول من قتل شخصا كمن قتل العالم كله أجمعين.
But nobody knows that in the Holy Quran verses that if you kill one person innocent, as if that you kill the whole mankind.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shukran, shukriya.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fadu, for sharing your views on terrorism from the perspective of Sudan. At least we learn that from the religious understanding that underpin the concept in Sudan, it is absolutely wrong to kill any innocent soul. So that's the starting point. But more importantly, I think Justice Fadu has posed a number of questions regarding terrorism, that you ought to understand what it is that is propping this terrorism for you to understand who a terrorist is, who is manufacturing the weapons, who is benefiting from what they are doing, and so on and so forth. And I think those are questions that would do well to continue to think through as we listen to the next speaker, who is Justice P.S. Gopinathan. Is a former judge of the High Court of Kerala in India. Justice Gopinathan, I hand over the floor to you.
Esteemed Chairperson, Honorable Mr. Justice Mumba Malila, Judge Supreme Court, Zambia, my dear brother co-speakers, Honorable Mr. Justice Bindi Milla Pablo Arad, Judge, Provincial Court of Justice, Ecuador, Honorable Mr. Justice Deepthi Amaradunge, Judge, High Court, Fiji Islands, Honorable Mr. Justice Yahya Fadil Muhammad Fadil, Judge, Supreme Court and Dean of Judicial Institution, Sudan, Coordinator Ms. Jyoti Kashyap, Senior Principal, dignitaries of the dais, my dear students, brothers and sisters. I am now proposing to talk on the prevention of terrorism, cure of terrorism. In the scenario of our plea for enforcement of world law and effective global governance. The time given is very limited, and I understand that your senior principal is very strict in keeping time schedule. So I am only attempting to kindle your thoughts. My dear participants, terrorism sprouts when law and order fails. That is a fundamental issue. For one or other reasons, certain persons or group of persons are marginalized for no good reason. Gandhiji, our father of nation, has stated that we have enough on our planet for our need, but not for our greed. While certain people are amassing resources, many often more than to their need, others are denied even basic necessities. In other way telling, there is denial of equal opportunities, denial of social justice, and the right for a decent life. Denial of opportunity, social justice, and the right for decent life sprouts a feeling of disappointment and revenge among the citizens who are victim to that denial. It is this disappointment and revenge that turns one to resort to terrorism. Prevention is better than cure. Therefore, my first suggestion to contain the terrorism is that the essentiality and primary duty of the administration to ensure equal opportunities, social justice, and the right to have a decent life to every citizen. Article 21 of the Constitution of India guarantees a right to life. Our Honorable Supreme Court has defined that article and pronounced and declared that the right to life guaranteed by Article 21 of the Constitution is a right to decent life. So it is the duty of every administration to provide an opportunity, equal opportunity to every citizen to have a decent life. Coming to the procedure for curing, I may suggest that it is a duty of every administration to bring those who are involved in terrorist activities before law and to deal them in accordance with the law of the land. I stress that the law of the land. Enforcement of the penal law is very essential for maintaining law and order. Our ancient scholar Manu, thousands of years back, in his Manusmriti has stated that people respect law not because of the law, respect to the law, but because of the fear of punishment provided by the law. Therefore, it is always essential to ensure effective criminal administration of justice for maintaining law and order. Now, terrorism has become a global phenomenon, whether it is regional or international. Regional terrorism can be curtailed by the respective administration through effective enforcement of law and order. But to curtail the international terrorism, much more is required. That is global enforcement of law and order is very essential. There comes the relevance of our plea for enforceable world law and effective global governance. Let us work for enforceable world law and effective global governance. I propose to conclude with the remark that it is the duty of every one of us to join nationally and globally for the enforcement of law nationally and internationally to maintain global peace and tranquility. Join together, victories of ours. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Justice Gopinathan, for those very insightful observations and views on prevention of terrorism. We now have about 40 or so minutes within which you are free to ask questions directed at any of the speakers regarding any of the issues they may have raised, or indeed something they may not have raised. If they are able to pick it up to answer it, I think we shall be happy to allow them to attempt an answer to it. So,
all right, children, you can be ready with your questions now. And before that, I would just like to briefly tell you about whatever these eminent judges here spoke to you. I'm sure they were very clear, but still, just to summarize, I would just mention, starting from the very first, that is Honorable Mr. Justice Ventimilla Pablo Parra, Judge, Provincial Court of Justice, Ecuador. He spoke to you about nuclear proliferation, that is nuclear disarmament that needs to be eliminated from the system, and how best it can be done. That has to be decided. There have to be certain laws. Promulgation of laws for such cases is very, very essential. Honorable Mr. Justice Deepthi Amritunge, Judge, High Court, Fiji Island. He very beautifully said that all these subtopics which we have, the regional and international terrorism, ethnic and civil wars, nuclear proliferation and conflict resolution, all these go hand in hand. So if one exists, the other is bound to exist. If there is terrorism, genocide is bound to come. And if nuclear weapons are there, terrorism will be there. So all these are interrelated. They all go hand in hand. So we have to see that we try to eliminate all these from our system to tackle the various global issues which persist today. Honorable Mr. Justice Yahya Fadul Muhammad Fadul, Judge, Supreme Court and Dean of Judicial Institute, Sudan. He spoke and he said, in Sudan, it is absolutely wrong to kill any human being, and punishment is given for that. So basically, laws have got to be strict, and people should know that's not we are respecting law, but they also have to know is if we don't respect that law, then what is going to be the repercussion? What's going to be the outcome? They should have the fear for punishment, and then maybe things can be better off. And Honorable Mr. Justice P.S. Gopinathan, former Judge, High Court of Kerala, India, he made a very beautiful remark that we need to prevent. Prevention is better than cure. And how can we prevent? Equal right to every individual. He feels that terrorism starts from there, which is a very beautiful concept. There is enough in this world for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. So if we are all the time hungry for this and that, and all the time we have desires which may not be fulfilled, then there are problems. But if we are contented with what we have, and whatever we get by honest means, then things can be much better off. So thank you very much for so beautifully giving your views on this very complicated topic to such an audience where we have students. And thank you. I would like to thank profusely Honorable Mr. Justice Mumba Malila, Judge Supreme Court Zambia, for chairing this session so very beautifully. And now your questions, children. Whatever question you have, you can just come up with your questions, and whosoever you would like to address, you can address. Yes. Or even the teachers of, yes, come forth. Can we have the mic for him? Who's handling the mic here? The others, be ready with your questions.
Good morning, sir. Sir, my question is from the respect. Sir, I am Aditya Vikram from CMS Aliganj 1. Sir, my question is from the Judge of Sudan. Sir, when the international think tank knows that now all the crises have global implications and also require global interventions, then why no permanent international special force regiment has been created to counteract such situations?
Face the camera. Can you just...
Yes. Yes. رغم انه ده ما الموضوع الاشو is not issue, but I will answer. صح، في السودان في مشاكل، لكن المشاكل ليست مشاكل سياسية، هي مشاكل قبلية، في صراع في المرعى، صراع في الماء. فلوجود إمكانيات ضخمة وبترول ويورانيوم في هذه المنطقة، الدول اتدخلت في الحتة دي باسم الحماية.
Well, the subject is not like you think is it. Usually it is. أجاوب سؤال يعني. Yes, he said it's not like that, but he will answer the question. That you mean to say, my lord, that you are not a politician or what? He's enacting laws. He's very sharp in Sudan. Well, his answer like that. You say the subject which you talk about is an internal dispute, like their dispute on grazing areas, like resources area between the grazer and the farmers. In the meantime, the intervention of international community within Sudan areas, due to that they rely, Sudan has many resources, lands, uranium, gold, and everything like that. So in case you did not succeed in education, you just pack your bag and come, you get some sauna. He said like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much. Yes, children, please do ask. Yes.
This question is also for the for Mr. Justice of Sudan, that because he said that the reason the way to end terrorism is sorry. He said that the cause of terrorism is that we need to I believe that we need to find the cause for terrorism in order to stop it, and I think I have an answer for that. The cause of terrorism is by the lack of conscience within people's hearts, so that through the Mr. Justice believe that if we can implement ways to have people awaken their conscience, that they can have a better, we can have a better world, and that people will live better without terrorism.
Thank you. I think she's already answered. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. She's saying that in order to prevent terrorism, we have to awaken our conscience. And that's a very beautiful thing. If our conscience tells us this is right and this is wrong, and we know exactly what is right and what is wrong, then terrorism will never be there. Yeah? Thank you so much. Okay. She has answered herself. She has answered the question already.
Yes, I know. But I have a comment.
Yes, please do.
هل الدول عندها الكونشس؟ السؤال. The people have conscious, but the countries have. This is a question.
Yes. Yes, that's right. Which means through education, we have to develop the spiritual aspect of an individual. And only when a person develops spiritually, then the conscience will awaken and such things will not happen. Next question, please. Yes.
Jai Jagat sir, my name is Sabinda. I am from CMS Chalk campus. My question is to you, Honorable Justice from Sudan. Sir, my question is, whenever we talk about terrorism, the very first thought that popped in our mind is that terrorism is due to Muslims, or all the terrorists are Muslims. But you are a Muslim, and I too am a Muslim. And I know that Islam has nothing to do with terror, or we know that terrorism has no religion. But we named ISIS, and we think that all the institutions that are dealing with terror, they are Muslim institutions. So sir, my question is what Sudan is doing, or what the other countries of the world is doing to eradicate this mentality that all the Muslims are terrorists, because this is not correct.
أنا لو فهمت قال صح الإعلام الغربي إنه غزة إنه الإرهاب عند المسلمين.
The Western media has fed the mind of people that the Muslims are a terror.
ونحن كمسلمين ضد المسلمين اللي بيمارسوا العمل الإرهابي.
As we Muslim, we are against the Muslim who practice terror act.
ونحن في القوانين السودانية إنه أي إرهابي العقوبة تصل لدرجة الإعدام.
In Sudan laws, as we are enacted, in case we accuse someone in offense of terrorism, the maximum punishment is that death.
Maybe السبب الأساسي إنه المسلمين يتهمون بالإرهاب لأحداث سبتمبر، لأنه كل نفذوا العملية دي كانوا إرهابيين.
The main cause why they relay terror to Muslims only rely on the 11 September event which took place in the United States.
Thank you, sir.
Satisfied?
Thank you, sir.
It's better, I think, if you don't specify and you can just tell your question. Whosoever wants to answer can answer. Come a little in front.
My question is to the Honorable Justice of India. Sir, to my knowledge, reservation in India was the...
Your name.
Yes.
My name is Harshvardhan Tripathi. Sir, to my knowledge, reservation in India was supposed to end 20 years of its introduction. For about ending this system, there has been increasing in its percentage from 14% to 49%. Why this?
The reservation is for ensuring equal opportunity to those who are depressed. Take the Indian class. As I mentioned earlier, some are amassing the resources. There is denial of opportunity, either for education or for employment or even for a residence. At the initial stage, the reservation started with a nominal index, that is a nominal percentage. Later it is understood that more people are required to be reserved or have an equitable distribution of assets and opportunities. More percent of reservation is required. The government opted for it. It is a parliament that has decided it, and in fact, judges has no role in it. Also, the parliament, the people representing or the persons representing the people of India, the people of India, has found that this small percentage of reservation would not satisfy to meet the requirement. They have enhanced it. So we can all pray for a better time where equal opportunities are given to all citizens, irrespective of the caste, creed or religion, and then we can avoid the reservation.
Very good. Very nice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Can we have the next question?
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm Riya Singh. I'm from CMS Aliganj. Sir, I want to ask you if do you not feel that terrorism actually arises from social situations?
Certainly, it is a social situation. So we have got many reasons there. Suppose an opportunity is denied in a classroom. A teacher denies opportunity to a student for studying the subject or expressing his or her abilities. He or she leave the institution with a rebel mind that I didn't get opportunity. So my plea to the principal to convey the message to all teachers that no student shall have an occasion to leave the institution with a feeling that he or she didn't get an opportunity in the institution.
Very correct. Very correct.
It is a very social issue.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, dignitaries. So my name is Srambagam Srivastava from Aliganj. Sir, youth are the most precious resources we have.
Pardon?
Sir, youth are the most precious resources we have.
Yes.
But we see youth turning to Naxalites instead of democratic processes. Sir, what measures or discussions can be taken by the society or the government to ensure that the youth turn away from that extremism?
That is what I mentioned. The first reason is that a denial of opportunity. Whenever a young man feels that he didn't get an opportunity, he would not get a right to survival. That is survival for existence. Of course, the rule is that those who are fit to survive exist. That is another thing. But thing is that every man, every young person should have a feeling that this world is mine and I have got an opportunity equal to that of my brother. He would not fight against the brother. He would be content with what he has got. Of course, the teacher has mentioned about the spiritual development. Regarding that also, here we have got terrorism. One people say that this is the method to develop spiritual activities. But other people say that is not correct, this is the method. There also comes fight and terrorism. Yes. Naxalism is the basic cause for denial of opportunities.
Thank you, sir. Highly commend you for that.
Can we applaud?
Good morning, honorable judges. My name is Gaurang Tandon and I am from CMS Aliganj campus. My question is a general question, and I want to ask that suppose an ethnic group or a community of a country is staging large-scale protests demanding a separate country for themselves, and the threat of a war between this community and the other communities is on the rise, then what can the current government of that country do to prevent and tackle this situation? Thank you.
Your question is to? Anybody can answer?
Now that question is depending on what this ethnic group or the so-called movement. I would not use the word terrorist. As I said, it's a contested word. So there's no definition. Wants. Now there are certain things that a country can't give. Because if I give you a live example which happened about 5-6 years ago, to be exact, it's more than 5-6, it's about 10 years ago. In Sri Lanka, there was understanding between the LTT and the government, and a MOU was signed, and certain requests were made, and some conflict resolutions were mediated by some international powers, including Norway, and final stumbling block that stopped and that ultimately resulted to the war was that the separatists were asking for territorial waters. Nowhere in the world a state government or a federal government gets rights to the territorial waters. So my question is, that depends on what the other side is asking, because there are things that the country, and there was another issue, foreign affairs. They were asking for foreign affairs. So foreign affairs are a duty of the central government, and that is an accepted thing, because you can't be represented in the UN by a state government and the central government. I think any even a student can understand. So depending on what they ask, there are limits that the state can go. State can't go beyond that. But if the state is denying certain rights, certainly they have to address that issue. If a particular ethnic group is feeling that they are being denied, then there is a reason. You can't say there isn't a reason. You have to address that issue. You have to come to the table. You have to discuss what their issues are, and then somebody, independent person, has to mediate, because sometimes the government might take a stand and say, no, we have not denied your rights. we have all these things in the constitution, we have enshrined everything, so that's well and fine. But you have to see what is happening in the ground situation. So there should be an independent mediator, whether it's a regional one or international one, or it should be like a body like UN. Those are specifics. But somebody has to mediate and then address their questions. And then tell them, now these are foreign affairs, territorial waters, you can't. And their claim was because they were already having control of the territorial waters, because I don't know whether you are aware, LTT was the only terrorist organization that had a control like a legitimate government, that is air, because they had 2 lightweight aircrafts. Nowhere in the world that terrorism organization had their own airplanes. These are powered by 2 small engines, Czech Republic made engines. I don't know how they bought it. So, and they were having lot of small boats, and they were controlling certain parts of the water. But that is, as a terrorist organization, they might do it. But when you negotiate, you can't ask for that. You can't ask for airspace. You can't.
True.
Right? Okay.
Thank you, sir. Come, Nimish.
May I add a word? See that
Please.
on Earth, on the planet, the resources are not equally distributed. Some countries are having some more resources than they required, so whether it is oil, gas, gold, iron ore, or whatever may be. Then those who are having more than what is there required, they should have a tendency to distribute or to share it with the other countries for at a reasonable price, unless there is such issues. There is chance for such issues.
That is why the need for a world government.
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning, judges. I am Nimish Mishra from CMS Aliganj Campus 1, and my question is that why the major powers in the world having nuclear weapons reluctant to completely disarm themselves?
En español. Ya. Es necesario que entiendan. Es necesario que entiendan el problema que radica en la proliferación nuclear.
It is important to understand the NPT, in the proliferation of the nuclear weapons.
Cuando esta energía no es usada para fines pacíficos sino militares.
As you know that such nuclear power is not used for the well-being of the society, but for the war.
Por eso es importante que los países entiendan que este uso pacífico es necesario para la convivencia mundial.
And the countries, they must understand the use of such nuclear material in a pacific way, in social use for the well-being of society. In such a way, this problem can be eradicated.
También es necesario que todos los países conlleven un pacífico y saludable amistad entre todos, y con eso se consiga una paz, ya que solamente existe un solo mundo en donde podemos vivir y convivir los humanos.
And the countries, they must come to an agreement. They must understand the well-being of the society. They must come to a platform where they understand the world is not divided. The world is just a one family, and where human beings, they can live together to survive and to stay strong.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Can we applaud?
Good afternoon, judges. My name is Devansh Bajpai. My question is to the Honorable Judge from India, that in some countries the courts are able to apply environmental law effectively, but this doesn't appear to be the case in India. So what can be done in the courts here?
Please repeat.
In some countries the courts are able to apply environmental law effectively, but this doesn't appear to be the case in India. So what can be done in the courts here?
My dear friend, I don't think that the enforcement of environment of law in India is not up to the mark. India is a wide country having a wide population. There are so many restrictions for implementing any law, whether it is environmental law or any other law. But we are not behind any nation in implementing environmental law.
Sir, one more question I want to ask. That if an organization only targets military forces and does not target civilians, is it still a terrorist organization? If yes, why?
Militant organizations? Pardon?
If an organization only targets military forces and does not target civilians, is it still a terrorist organization?
Certainly it is. Any activities in breach of the rule of law is a terrorist activity. No doubt. Whether it is against a military people or against a civilian, it is there. Because they are sometimes they may be targeting that these military people are standing in their target for implementing the terrorism. They are first using it against the military people.
Thank you, sir.
Can I say something? Can I say something on that last question? It's a very good question, but according to the definition put forward by the UN, this is the definition, right? Deliberate killing of civilians and non-combatants for political purposes, right? So this is the definition put forward by the UN when Kofi Annan was the Secretary General, and this has not been generally accepted, but this is the definition that is put by the UN.
Okay.
So if go by that definition, that question that was asked by the student, the attacking of military targets only will not come under that definition, but that is not accepted, right? So after it was not accepted, the UN put a report, Unity Against Terrorism. These are all in the web. If you go UN report, it only said that terrorism is unjustifiable and unjustifiable under all conditions. So when you say it is under all conditions, sometimes even military targets can be included, but those are issues still not being solved, and we can't give a clear answer because these are still global issues still being discussed. That is why I think before a world parliament, at least on the regional bodies like SAARC, like EU, now they have a list. At least EU has a list of terrorist organizations, because you can't define what the organization is, but you can put one organization under the list. So that's the easy way to address, because rather than finding a common definition, which is not going to happen, you have a list, and if you are included in that list, it's okay. So giving the short answer, sometimes the question that you ask, if it is only military, it may not be, but at the moment we can't be certain.
My dear brother, every military person is a civilian too. He is the son of a father, he is the son of a mother, he is the brother of a sister, he is the father of a son, he is the husband of a wife. Because of the avocation, he opted for military service. That does not mean that he is not a civilian. Every attack on a military person is an attack on a civil society. That is at least even coming to the root of the family, root to the family.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't want to go to an argument. I just said what I have studied and what is there. For the students,
So
you can go.
That inclusive definition, military person, that would include a civilian also. That is my argument. Not it is my argument, I am suggesting it.
Okay.
Every military person, he is a civilian too.
Yes, can we have the next question?
Good afternoon, honorable judges. My question is, how can nations work together towards a vision of a world without nuclear weapons and take practical steps towards it? Go.
Okay.
My question is that how can nations work together towards a vision of a world without nuclear weapons and take practical steps towards that goal?
La forma que los países puedan encontrar un acuerdo para que las armas o la energía nuclear sea destinada para fines pacíficos es que se proteja y se cuide.
And the way in which the countries will have to come on the platform for the pacific use and the use of nuclear weapon or nuclear energy.
Okay. Se cuide que esta energía sea destinada para fines pacíficos.
So that these energies, these nuclear weapons or the nuclear energy, if I say, these energies should be used for the well-being of the society.
Hay muchos elementos que conforman esta energía que son usados para otros fines que no son los pacíficos, sino militares. Hay que lograr que entre los países exista una comunión de ideas. Continue.
As we know that these nuclear weapons or nuclear energy, they have been prepared, they have been manufactured with the purpose of using as a nuclear weapon, not for any pacific end. So that it has to be an agreement. The countries they will have to come an agreement that such weapons are used for the society, for better use.
Y que estas ideas se transformen en un acuerdo de paz y que no se use los elementos químicos para otros fines que no sean los pacíficos.
And there shall be a peace agreement among the countries that they should not use any chemical or nuclear material or energy which doesn't have any use for the well-being of a greater good.
Existe organizaciones internacionales que se dedican a cuidar que estos elementos no se desvíen a otros países que no persiguen los fines pacíficos.
There are conventions, there are treaties existing in the world, so that the country would, those countries would not have the nuclear power yet, and the treaties would stop them from having these nuclear weapons or nuclear energy.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Next we have, yes.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Abhyanshi Tripathi and my question is, what can be done to ensure that the expansion of civil nuclear energy does not lead to the further spread of nuclear weapons and other such nuclear material?
Honorable Mr. Justice Mumba Malila, would you like to answer this question?
I'm not very sure I understood the question very well. For my benefit, please repeat
Can you
the
just
question.
repeat the question?
What can be done to ensure that the expansion of civil nuclear energy does not lead to the further spread of nuclear weapons and other such nuclear material?
That's a very important question. The answer again lies very much in our conscience as humanity. There are times when development of nuclear weapons are said or are undertaken under the guise of civilian and development purposes. For example, energy development and so on and so forth. When in fact, the ultimate purpose is less than innocent. So again, it's a question of being untruthful. And as I said earlier, it is a question of how we as individuals and we as countries want to behave in terms of listening to our conscience. Are we doing something right? Is it right to lie that we are developing nuclear power for purposes of civilian and well-intentioned development purposes, or we want to develop it for purposes which are detrimental to human beings? My view would be that it's a question for our inner conscience again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We have 3 more questions, I suppose. Yes? Okay, after that we'll wind up. Quickly come, Ridhima.
A very good afternoon, honorable judges. My name is Ridhima Srivastav and I am from CMS Aliganj Campus 1. My question is, if the achievement of a world free of nuclear weapons has been unobtainable for over 60 years now, why do you think it can be achieved now?
Anybody can answer.
Please repeat the question.
Yes, repeat the question. He'll answer for you.
If the achievement of a world free of nuclear weapons has been unobtainable for over 60 years now, why do you think it can be achieved now?
I think it can be achieved at any moment, right? It is not a thing that cannot be achieved. If there's a will, there's a way, right? The mere fact that it didn't happen in the past is a good reason that you should do it today or tomorrow. Because if your argument is put, we all know slavery was there in the world. It was abolished. And till 1950s, 1957 to be exact, in US, there was discrimination of blacks and whites, right? So, and the landmark decision in Brown versus Board of Education gave that opportunity for the blacks to study with the whites in the same classroom, same school. The Constitution says they all are equal and all that. Constitution is 150 years old, but still that discrimination continued till 1950s, very much in the modern times, I would say. So something that is continuing doesn't mean that it has to continue forever. Only problem is there should be a will of the powers who are having this capability. Because civilian use is okay, because we know that our fossil fuels are going to deplete. It's not going to last forever. So civilian use you should encourage even, I would say. But in the guise of civilian use, you can't do other things, because that is not acceptable. Because there's a judgment given by the ICJ that the mere fact of having nuclear weapons is illegal, but it is a minority judgment. 2 judges said that it was a full bench judgment. Majority said use is illegal. Minority judgment, which is very comprehensive, if somebody wants, you can go to their website and read it. It's very long, but still worth reading. Having possession of nuclear weapons is also illegal. That's the dissenting minority judgment said. So
thank you. Next,
I may supplement a few words. Okay. So a person who is possessing this nuclear weapon can drop it at any time. When suppose we could persuade them that you drop it. Suppose you have got a piece of gold and you cannot convert it into an ornament. After some time you will leave it because you cannot eat it. That is the issue. So you persuade it. Persuade every nation having a nuclear weapon to abandon it. Then we can certainly enforce it to the world laws. Yes.
That's right. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, next question, please.
Good morning, respected judges. I am Kushi Verma from CMS Aliganj Campus 1, and I have a general question that how is radicalization of religion directly related to terrorism?
Can you ask that question again?
Sure, sir. How is radicalization of religion directly related to terrorism?
How it directly relates to?
Yes.
Now, that is what is happening today. Radicalization happens due to the proliferation of technology, because we know you can spread anything on internet without borders to any part of the world, provided that in the other part the other person will understand what you are saying. So this radicalization happens now at the moment. Now according to the accepted waves of terrorism, there are 4. The last one is the one that started in 1979. That is according to David Rappaport. That's the religious wave. But at the moment, I think there is a start of a new wave from this radicalization. So radicalization is very dangerous because it doesn't happen in a particular location. It can happen without any sort of discrimination, any sort of denial of right, because that is what is happening. Because the most richest countries in the world, Norway, where they have the highest indices in all fields, these things happen. So the answer to your question is radicalization is what is happening at the moment, and it has a direct impact, because that is why these people in the Western countries who are living without any seen discrimination or denial of right or anything, but still when somebody writes something on the web and they communicate and all that, radicalization happens. You can teach anybody anything that you want if the other person is willing to accept, and then that person's mind is changed, he goes and fights and come back. So this is what is happening now. That is how it relates to terrorism. So the way to deal is, I think, the proper education. Because if somebody says something, you should not accept. Even what we say, you go and see whether what we have said is correct. Right? So that is why this technology is there. The internet is there. Don't use it for bad purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And the last question for today. Yes, dear. You want to ask?
Good afternoon, judges. My name is Shreya Gupta and I am from Aliganj campus. My question is there any objective reason why some countries can have nuclear weapons
but others can't. Is there any objective reason why some countries can have nuclear weapons but others can't?
They have no resources. Suppose those who have got the resources are making it, and others who have no resources are not making it. Very evident.
Yeah, can I answer that?
Yes, please, sir.
I think the simple answer is no. There is no objective reason as to why some countries should have nuclear weapons and others should be stopped from having nuclear weapons. The justification that is often given is that some countries are less responsible than others, and therefore that it is a greater danger to allow some countries to possess nuclear weapons than it is for those that have already developed and have possessed them. But I think there is no objectivity whatsoever in that kind of explanation. The bottom line is that all nuclear weapons are bad things to keep, and nobody will have the justification whatsoever to have them in their possession and to stop any other country from having them on the basis that they are less responsible than they are. I think it is bad enough that even those well-known nuclear powers that have kept these weapons are still maintaining that it is right for them to keep the nuclear weapons and not so right for any others that want to develop and keep them. So it's bad enough that they are in possession of those weapons in the first place.
Thank you so much, sir. So with this, we come to the end of the interactive session. We would like to thank profusely all our eminent judges. You want to say something, sir? Yes. Okay.
Yes, I want to
Okay.
say something. Who is 14 here? Age? Anyone? Yes. But we have a Sudanese student in America. Call it Ahmed. He make a new watch. He's 14. He take his watch to the school, and I want to how they think the American. When he takes his watch, they say he took the pump and catch the police and the person. And when you can see the story in the internet.
Yes.
As thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. So I would like to thank profusely all the very eminent judges for that very beautiful insight into this very complicated issue, tackling global issues. And they very rightly pointed out that they are all very interlinked, and how they can be eliminated or how they can be dealt with. The owner's children, I would say, lies with you. Because you are the youth and you are the future citizens of this world. We need to empower you through education, through right guidance. I think you can make that difference. And that is the reason why in schools we have now the Junior Youth Empowerment Program. Because the mindset of people has to change. And who will change that mindset? Educated people will change that mindset. The youth of today will change that mindset. And you get these opportunities so that you get more enlightened. I'm sure today you all are more enriched. Whatever you heard from these eminent judges, that's worth noting and worth pondering upon. You get opportunities, you have to make use of those opportunities. Because it is said, sitting still and wishing makes no person great. The good Lord sends the fishing, but you must dig the bait. And this was Principal CMS Aliganj signing out now. Thank you and Jai Jagat.